Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, why critics of President Trump are considering invoking the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office. Also tonight, a new investigative journalism program looks at the hidden threat of 3D printed weapons. And a brand new Phoenix Library card honors the Wallace and Ladmo Show. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Democrats in Congress are considering invoking the 25th Amendment in an effort to remove President Trump from office. The effort involves creating a commission that would have the power to declare the president, any president, but in this case President Trump, physically or mentally unable to conduct the duties of office. To learn more, we welcome former federal prosecutor Mark Akenovich, who now practices law at Ballard Spahr. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me, Ted. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for coming in on this, because I keep hearing about the 25th Amendment, and boy, there's a lot under the 25th Amendment that I wasn't even aware of. First of all, what does it state?
So the 25th Amendment was a provision that was adopted into the Constitution. It's an amendment to the Constitution, the 25th, that was ratified in 1967 to address issues after the assassination of President Kennedy, to help with the transition of power if there's going to be a vacancy in the presidency. So it addresses a couple of different things in different provisions, and the one you've referred to is for involuntarily removing a president who has not been assassinated, but is no longer able, for whatever reason, to fulfill the duties of the president.
Physically and or mentally.
That's correct.
Now, this would involve the cabinet?
Usually, that's what it's understood to be. But the language in the 25th Amendment includes another provision that hasn't been adopted yet by Congress, or there's a gap there, because it says that the cabinet can vote to say that the president is no longer fit, and then it would require the vice president to agree, and then it would go to Congress to vote on it, or a body established by law by the Congress. And since 1967, Congress has not established that body by law. And Jamie Raskin has a proposal now to do just that, to fill that gap.
And I want to get to that in a second, but I want to get back to the original intent and the original idea of this thing. Even if the cabinet and the vice president agree that the president cannot fulfill the duties, does Congress still have to give the go-ahead as well?
Yes, the cabinet and the provision goes from the cabinet and the vice president to the Congress, or a body established by the Congress by law.
And that's where, again, you were going to as far as Jamie Raskin, Democrats up there. What exactly are they trying? This is a commission?
Yes, so it's a body that they would establish, and it would be a bipartisan body that Jamie Raskin has put together this proposal that would have 8 people selected by Republicans and 8 people selected by Democrats. 4 of those people from each would be doctors or psychiatrists, and 4 would be statespersons from the executive branch, like former vice presidents, former presidents would be on this commission. And then those 16 people would vote to elect a chairperson. So there would be 17, so you wouldn't have 8 versus 8.
And the commission would what? Do a medical exam? What?
Well, they would get together and decide whether or not, in their opinion, the president was fit to continue to serve as the president. And then if that body and the vice president agree, it would go back to the Congress for votes. For 3/4 of both houses would have to agree.
Interesting. So 3/4. How does it make sense, though, to have this kind of a commission when you've already got the cabinet? I guess the cabinet would be more beholden to the president. The commission, maybe not so much.
That's exactly right, Ted. And it's an interesting provision because it's in the Constitution.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been applied by Congress through law to establish what that body would look like. And Jamie Raskin has one interesting proposal that balances those kind of political considerations so that it would be bipartisan. It would have to have broad support
How likely is something like this to happen? The commission, I should say.
Snowball's chance in Phoenix in the summertime, probably.
Yes.
But the proposal is an interesting one that deserves consideration. It would be very difficult to pass right now because Congress would have to pass it. Republicans control both houses of Congress, and of course, Republicans control the presidency. So the idea of establishing this when there are calls, as you pointed out, to invoke the 25th Amendment's other provisions to remove the president, calls for the cabinet to act as well.
Well, it would seem to me that if you're a Democrat and you're on Capitol Hill and you want to see the president adios here any way possible, you would just go impeachment. You wait to hopefully get your side to have the majority and go impeachment and conviction.
That's a possibility for Democrats to consider, but this is, I think, looking at it kind of stepping back from a bipartisan lens, this is something that Republicans may have wanted to have available to them, or Republicans and Democrats may have wanted to have available to them during the Biden years.
I was going to bring up the Biden years and toward the end of the Biden presidency, and we heard a lot of stuff about his ability to do what he needs to do in office. This could have applied, could it not?
It certainly could have. And the lack of such a body is something that I think probably needs to be filled, because there's a provision for it in the Constitution. And so this is one idea for how to do that gap filling and fulfill the constitutional mandate to have such a body.
Last question here, and Mark, thank you so much for joining us, because I just find this stuff fascinating. But in the mid-'60s, after the Kennedy assassination and the idea of someone incapacitated mentally or physically, was the idea that the president is just doing things that the majority of the country, the majority of the cabinet, the majority of Congress, that the majority doesn't like? Was that the intent here?
Well, this sort of provision isn't just a majoritarian provision, right? The need for 3/4 of both houses of Congress and this bipartisan commission, it wouldn't be for normal, ordinary circumstances or a political whim that you would be removing a president, right? It would require quite a bit of broad consensus for even the provision that Jamie Raskin has put forward to actually take effect.
So it's an interesting concept then.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Mark Okanovich, again, Ballard Spahr, former federal prosecutor. Always interesting. Good conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ted.
On Masterpiece.
You and I, we are not typical Forsytes.
And I committed a mind of my own.
Oh, I really hope she won't make life difficult for him.
I think she already has.
Because husband and wife should have no secrets from each other.
It's a disaster. A crisis of our own making.
How could we have known?
And whose fault is that?
He is weak, but she has entrapped him.
Remove her from our lives.
The Forsytes. On Masterpiece.
Sunday night at 8 on Arizona PBS.
Unsere neue Kollegin Nina Pocconi. Herzlich willkommen in Kitzbühel.
Der Täter dürfte äußerst methodisch vorgegangen sein.
Da draußen läuft ein Wahnsinniger rum.
Ich sag, das stimmt jetzt bloß nicht.
Nina ist in den Fall verwickelt gewesen. Ich weiß, dass wir nicht so viel Zeit haben. Den geringsten Anhaltspunkt.
Sunday at 11 on Arizona PBS.
It's about to go down.
The wildlife just take over.
The age of discovery is now.
It's a journey like no other.
Everyone is getting involved in this. You'll see a kaleidoscope of color. It's like magic.
My hands are shaking.
I think I just fell in love.
Ever wonder what today's workforce looks like and how to prepare the next generation? Your local public media station and American Graduate Jobs Explained are here to break it all down on the most popular social media platforms. Real people, real jobs, from trades and healthcare to hospitality, tech, and more. Explore local opportunities for a brighter and more profitable tomorrow.
I'm talking high-paying, interesting jobs just waiting for you.
American Graduate Jobs Explained. Visit jobsexplained.org to learn more.
The Beam is a brand new multimedia news initiative based at ASU's Howard Center for Investigative Journalism. The Beam's first project is a look into the increasing incidence of 3D printed weapons in Arizona schools. Here's a preview of that investigation.
I sent records requests to about 20 school districts in Arizona, and one of them that came in, I noticed that it mentioned multiple times 3D printed weapons, and not only that, but with the intent to sell. And so I was trying to imagine, kids selling 3D printed weapons on school property. It leaves, I think, parents and students wondering what were the details of this situation. How much damage can be done, even though this, for example, this 3D printed knife is made of plastic, what damage can be done with it? Can you cut with it? Can you stab with it? And I think these are all really important questions.
For more on that investigation and the Beam's Accountability News Initiative, we welcome Mark Greenblatt. He is the Beam's executive editor and Beam journalist in residence. Alice Driver, who reported on that 3D printed weapons story. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. Mark, we'll start with you. Give me a better definition of the Beam.
So, first of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for letting us be here. But the Beam is like a beam of light, is the concept here. And what it is it's really an expanded version of the teaching hospital model that the Cronkite School is really known for. We want to take student apprentices and give them some experience working with really talented professional investigative reporters like Alice Driver here to give them a chance to sort of warm up to being around very serious investigative reporting.
Multimedia, but also lots of high tech going on here. True?
True. We want to do investigative journalism that is really relevant in Arizona and beyond eventually as we continue to grow. But what we are also doing is not just giving stories to the public, but also creating AI-driven tools that allow the public to interact with newsmakers. And so if we're talking about something like an education-related story, like in the classrooms, like we'll talk about as we go on here today, we've built some AI tools that allow parents and teachers and principals to go online and really interact with their school boards in a way that allows them to know what's happening, where they may not want to spend 3 or 4 hours going to a meeting themselves.
Right, gotcha. Alice, this idea of 3D printed weapons in schools, how does that fit the Beam's mission?
Well, I mean, I'm really interested in emerging technology and issues because there's so many policies that are not necessarily in place to address issues like 3D printed weapons. If you think about safety at schools, because schools have policies around weapons, but what about 3D printed weapons because they're made of plastic? If you look at the story, a lot of schools have said, well, this is plastic, it's not a weapon, so we're not going to treat it like a weapon. But at the same time, these are weapons that can be used to, they have the same capabilities as other weapons.
And we're talking like printed out knives and these sorts of things. What is a question, I think your story kind of goes at this question. Are these toys? Are these weapons?
Well, and we printed out a 3D printed knife at work actually Mark has a 3D printer because, even I wasn't familiar. I'm like, how sharp is this?
Yes.
And I interviewed experts and they said, the part of the issue is that, it is made of plastic, but you can stab someone with it. You can, you can hurt others, and so it needs to be taken seriously and addressed with transparency, which is really the point of the article, to get schools talking about these issues.
Yeah, and education issues, is that going to be a focus of Beam or no?
We think it's a really important focus in Arizona. Traditionally, K through 12 public schools have just not ranked well nationally, and so we want to take professional journalists, resources from private philanthropy, resources from one of the largest public universities in the country, and then other nonprofit partners, and really do stories on education that just can't be done alone. And we're hopeful that by training accountability reporters on this problem, that we might make a dent.
Talk to me real quickly here about the AI aspect. You guys got your own chat box going?
It's really cool. You've got to try it. If you go to thebeam.org, which is our brand new website, we've got it set up so wherever, we've got 8 school districts that we're piloting right now.
Yeah.
And we will allow you to type in questions that allow you to really interact in a very personal way with your school board and what's happening there. So if you want to know, did your school come up in last night's 4-hour-long meeting? You don't have to go to the meeting anymore. You can just go to our bot And you can also find out what controversial things might have come up if you're interested.
Yeah, it sounds great, sounds very high-tech. This 3D printing stuff sounds pretty high. So what do these kids do? They print it at home, or they print it at school? How does that work?
Well, in all of the cases that I saw, the kids printed them at home. But another related issue is that a lot of schools do have 3D printers on campus, or for example, schools have 3D printing clubs. And so it's really just about thinking about rules and regulations and policies around these printers, since it's very easy to download blueprints for weapons.
Yeah, and as far as guns, what facsimiles of guns, correct?
Yeah, in this case, there was one gun, but it was not a functional gun, and that was, the school contacted the police, and the police said, this is not functional. Because often with the guns, you also need to insert some metal parts to make it functional. So there are all these questions related to these weapons, like how functional is it, and all of that. And it's a really important safety discussion to be having, I think.
And part of the discussion would be some of these kids are selling them at school.
Yeah, in some cases there was, quote, the intent to sell these 3D printed weapons on school property.
So last point on this, what did you learn from this investigation?
I learned so much because I had never seen a 3D printed weapon, and so I was like, "Is it sharp? Is it?" And it is, you know. Some of our interns taught me how to do some tricks but I'm still not very good at throwing it around.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot reporting this story, and that's what I love about working at the Beam.
Well, great work. And Mark, real quickly, where can we find out more about the Beam?
So our website, thebeam.org, we also have social media presence on Instagram and on X and other places. We're forming a new WhatsApp community where if you want us to be able to send our stories to you, join our WhatsApp communities.
Interesting. All right, Mark Greenblatt, and again, Alice Driver, congratulations on the story and congratulations on the initiative. Sounds good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
The Phoenix Public Library is honoring the Wallace and Ladmo Show by releasing a special edition library card. It's the latest celebration of one of the longest-running, locally produced daily children's shows in American broadcasting history. And joining us now is Lee Franklin. She's from the Phoenix Public Library. And look who else is here. It's Pat McMahon, who played a constellation of characters on the Wallace and Ladmo show. Constellation of warped characters,
no,
if you
that's
ask me.
Good. Well, at least now we're getting into serious business.
That's right. It's
The
PBS,
25th Amendment, by the way,
Yeah.
is should Gerald be removed from the show?
Well, that discussion is for another day. This discussion, and we're starting with Lee, if you don't mind. Really. Lee?
Thank you, Pat.
Why are you honoring this guy
Oh
and
my
his
gosh,
old
I'm
pals?
so tongue-tied. I am that kid. So I grew up here. Imagine me and my brother and sister spending thousands of minutes watching the Wallace and Ladmo show.
And you'll explain to the rest of the family why you didn't get the Ladmo bag.
Oh, I know. Everyone has a Ladmo bag story. So
Yes.
you either got one or you didn't. And when you reach a certain age, it's still, your story stays with you. So we are so excited. We thought this is just the perfect blend, the library and the Wallace and Ladmo show, and everything that Pat represents, the legacy, how it brings community together.
Yes.
In this, in a joyful, nostalgic, a connected way, which you can always find at the library, but this is just another spark of joy to find at the library.
The idea of tying the community together sounds great. And Pat, I want to ask you, I don't think I've ever asked you this. When you were doing the show, when you guys were out there doing your thing, and obviously the community came together and the kids loved you, did you have that feeling that we're doing something more here than just entertaining?
I don't know that necessarily dancers, jugglers, comics leave the stage and feel I've made a contribution. It's only after, when you're talking about 36 years, I was on the show for 30 years, and I was the new guy all that time. And it's still, of course, on in reruns. But during that period of time, I don't think that we thought of anything other than the next bit. Is it funny? Will it work? And that kind of thing. But after all these years, when they're naming a street Wallace and Ladmo Way, when the building where the Wallace and Ladmo show started is now being preserved by a legacy organization, and now with a library system and our faces, yes, that face.
Yes, there he is. There's Gerald.
On a library card.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
The impact of the show, especially on a growing town,
Right.
that plays a factor as well, doesn't it?
I think so. And we have been so pleasantly surprised that as big as Phoenix has gotten in the time that the show went off the air, so we know we have a lot of people that weren't here to see it. We still, it resonates still so much whenever I mention or talk about this is our next special edition card. We have a big event where we're going to unveil it on April 25th. We already have hundreds of people registered to come. So to me, it's just remarkable that this thread has stayed so strong and is connecting the library, the Wallace and Ladmo show, Pat McMahon, plus so many multi-generations across our community.
For some of those generations that came here after the show went off the air, which was a while back, holy smokes, it was a while back. But how do you tell people this is what the Wallace and Ladmo show was?
All you have to do is show an episode. All you have to do is let them know that the concept was not Captain Kangaroo, not Mr. Rogers. Those were shows about values. We continue to tell everyone we were the most valueless children's show in the history of television because it was a comedy show. It's a sketch show. It's Saturday Night Live for kids, and never pretended to be anything else. Now, the values were there because Gerald was a bad guy. Kids recognized it and couldn't stand him. Captain Super, one of those phony guys that continue to promise everything and never deliver. Oh, wait a minute, my parents voted for him. That kind of thing did go on, but mostly we wanted the answer to be, was it funny?
Well, and I was going to ask you this. Was it as fun to put on as it was to watch?
Without question. And I'm not doing that in order to think fondly back in the old days of my partners. But we were there 5 days a week together at Channel 5. And then on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, driving around the state, doing personal appearances. That's a lot of closeness. And I'm telling the truth right now. Never had an argument. We discussed structuring the bits, and maybe we should do this instead. How about a direction like this? But that was always this kind of contribution that went on with the three of us. To put on a comedy show every day, 5 days a week, from 1954 to 1990?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And to have the success that it had, and still has, when the reruns are played, and we give away a Ladmo bag every Sunday afternoon, instantly everyone says, no, I've got to send in a card. That's it.
Lee, as far as now, lots of memorabilia and Ladmo bags, no doubt, but other things as well, huh?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a program on Saturday, April 25th, starting at 11 a.m. Find all the details on phoenixpubliclibrary.org. Sign up to come.
Where
Pat
is
will
it?
be
Is that Burton Bar
at
downtown?
Burton Bar Central Library, and Pat will be on stage on our 5th floor, sharing a lot of your memories, and I hope we hope
with a number of other luminaries.
Yes, we'll have others connected to the show, the Wallace and Ladmo Show Foundation and families. We'll also have a curated exhibit, and I can promise Ladmo bags. We are cleared to promise that there will be Ladmo bags.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone, but we will be giving away Ladmo bags in the fashion the way that they did on the show.
In order to get a Ladmo bag, Ted, you can't have this one.
Okay.
You have to win it.
Well, you don't think I'm going to run away with this, do you? We're running out of time. It's so good to have you both here. Pat, it's so good to see you again. It's been a while, and I'm so glad you're doing well, and best of luck on this event. And Lee, congratulations on this event. It sounds like
thank
a
you.
whole lot of fun.
Thank you, and you're welcome. We're so happy to do this for the community. It's a card, so it will be available.
Okay.
Come get your card.
All right, thank you so much. Hey, that's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS delivers programs that serve as a trusted guide for little explorers. Thanks to you and...
Welcome to Friendship Village. Let me show you around.